Ladies and gentlemen, I tell people all the time, silence is powerful. When a woman goes quiet, it ain't because she ran out of words. Oh no. It's because she ran out of patience. And that silence rings louder than any argument. Now let me tell you something, fellas. The moment she stops texting, stops checking in, stops arguing, that's when you feel the shift. That's when the silence starts talking. And day by day, whether we say it out loud or not, a man starts thinking. A lot of brothers don't understand until it's too late. Silence, that thing you thought meant peace, oh, it ain't peace. It's a signal. And it's loud if you know how to listen. When a woman stops talking, it's not because everything's okay. It's because she done said everything already and you just didn't listen when she was speaking. See, most men confuse quiet with comfort. We think if she ain't complaining, if she ain't crying, if she ain't arguing, that everything must be good. Man, that's the lie we tell ourselves to stay comfortable. But the truth is, silence is usually the final stage before she walks away. Not physically at first, but emotionally. She's already half gone by the time the silence settles in. That's when it starts to get real. A woman doesn't go silent because she doesn't care. She goes silent because she's tired of caring alone. She's tired of repeating herself. She's tired of feeling like her voice don't matter. So instead of wasting more breath, she steps back. And when she does, that silence starts speaking volumes. But only if you got the ears to hear it. Now here's where it hits a man hard. We don't hear that silence immediately. At first, we feel the peace. We think, oh, things finally cooling down. But nah, brother, it's the eye of the storm. That quiet is where the change begins. And little by little, it gets in your head. You start wondering why she ain't texting like she used to, why her replies feel cold, why her energy feels off. That's when confusion creeps in. But see, that's when the truth shows up too. Because silence removes all the noise and distractions. It forces a man to sit with himself. And that's uncomfortable when you know deep down you haven't been doing right. You remember those moments when she tried to talk about her feelings and you brush her off? You think about the times you chose ego over empathy. You hear her silence and suddenly all those ignored conversations start playing back in your mind, clearer than ever before. That silence, it's a reflection. It makes a man look at himself. It makes you realize that her words weren't nagging, they were warnings. She wasn't attacking you. She was trying to save the relationship. But now, she's quiet. And that quiet, man, that quiet is heavy. It's not peaceful, it's piercing. It don't just sit in the air, it sinks into your spirit. The worst part, you can't respond to silence with a simple, my bad. Because silence ain't just about the moment. It's about the accumulation. It's everything she held in, everything she gave you the chance to fix. Every late night she cried facing the wall while you slept peacefully next to her like nothing was wrong. When a woman goes silent, that's not the time to relax. That's the time to react. Not with panic, but with purpose. That's the time to humble yourself and start listening not just to what's missing, but to what was always there. Her love, her patience, her warnings, all of it. But most of all, that silence is telling you, I'm done talking, now you have to figure out what my silence is saying. If you're lucky enough to catch it before it's too late, respond with real change. Because once that silence turns into distance, once her silence turns into acceptance, oh, that's when she's really gone. And brother, when she gone in her heart, the loudest apology in the world won't bring her back. So listen while you still can, not to the noise, but to the silence. There's a reason people say be still and know. Because when the noise dies down, when the arguing stops, when the back and forth fades out, that's when you find out what's really going on inside of you. That's when reflection kicks in. And let me tell you, reflection ain't always pretty, but it's necessary. See, as men, we're taught to keep it moving. Man up, don't feel too much, brush it off. So what we do is keep ourselves busy. Work, distractions, ego, pride. We drown out the sound of our own spirit because we're scared of what we might hear. But the moment she goes silent, that's when everything slows down. That's when the voices in your own head get louder. And they ain't always kind. That silence starts off like an empty room. You think it's peaceful. But then you sit with it long enough and you start to hear echoes. Echoes of your own actions, your own neglect, your own missed opportunities. You start thinking, man, she used to call just to check in. She used to ask how my day was. When did I stop answering her properly? When did I start making her feel invisible? That's what silence does. It forces you to reflect. And not just on her, on you. Because in the middle of that quiet, you start realizing the role you played. You start owning it. And brother, that's a tough mirror to look into. But it's the one that changes you if you let it. When a woman goes silent, she ain't trying to punish you. She's just protecting her peace. She's doing for herself what you stopped doing. And while you're out here thinking she's just giving you space, what she's really giving you is a moment to realize who you were to her and who you weren't. And in that space, we as men start to feel what we refused to face before. The weight of the words we never said, the apologies we never gave, the way we pushed her to be quiet, to hold back, to make herself small, just so we could feel like we were in control. Let me tell you, silence is a test. It asks you, can you be honest with yourself? Can you look at your part in the story? Because when she was talking, you had somewhere to direct the blame. You could argue, you could defend, but now there's no one to argue with. It's just you in that stillness. And that's when truth starts speaking. Day by day, that silence breaks you down in a different way. You don't hear it all at once. It starts with small thoughts, but those thoughts get deeper. Was I really listening to her needs? Did I support her dreams? Why didn't I tell her how much I appreciated the little things? And most of all, why did I wait for silence to start listening? It's in those quiet moments that regret starts showing up. But let me tell you something, and I say this as a man who's lived a little. Regret can be your teacher if you stop running from it. It can wake you up, it can make you better, but only if you sit with it. Only if you let the silence humble you instead of hardening you. Don't be the kind of man who only realizes her worth after she stops talking. Be the kind of man who listens before the silence, who reflects before the damage is done. But if you didn't, if the silence is already here, don't waste it. Use it. Let it teach you. Let it grow you. Because reflection and silence, that's when transformation happens. That's when a boy becomes a man. That's when a man becomes better. If you do it right, if you truly take responsibility, you might just become the kind of man who doesn't need the silence to finally hear Let me break this down for you because I don't think most men understand this until it's too late. Regret doesn't hit all at once. It shows up slow and it grows bigger in the silence. It creeps in. Day by day, you start to notice the little things that used to be part of your everyday life, and now they're just gone. And the crazy part, you never realize how much they meant to you until they weren't there no more. See, when a woman pulls back, when she goes quiet, when she stops checking in, texting you good morning, reminding you of your appointments, asking if you ate, you think at first it's just a phase. You think she'll come around. That's your ego talking. But over time, you start to realize it's not a phase, it's a shift. And that shift feels like an earthquake in your soul. You walk through the house and it's still the same, the couch, the TV, the bed, but something's different. The energy is gone. Her laughter isn't bouncing off the walls. Her scent isn't in the room like it used to be. She ain't sitting next to you asking how your day was. And that silence, man, it hits different when it used to be filled with love. And then it happens. You're at work, or you're out with the fellas and something reminds you of her. A song, a meal, a joke. And for a second, your heart drops. You remember how she used to smile when she heard that track. You remember how she made that exact dish on Sundays. You remember how she would light up a room when she laughed. And suddenly, you ain't laughing no more. Suddenly, you're thinking, damn. And that's the moment regret walks in. But regret ain't loud. Regret don't knock on your door yelling. It sneaks in while you're alone. It whispers to you late at night when the silence is so loud you can't sleep. It shows you memories like a highlight reel and it asks you one question. Why didn't you appreciate it when you had it? It's painful because you realize you didn't lose her all at once. You lost her in pieces. Every ignored call, every half-listened conversation, every time you dismissed her feelings like they were nothing. You didn't know it then, but that was her slipping away. And now with the silence wrapped around you like a blanket that just won't warm you up, you finally feel the emptiness you caused. That regret grows stronger every day you spend without her. Every day you wake up hoping maybe she'll call, maybe she'll come back. And even if she does, even if you get the chance to make things right, that guilt doesn't leave easy. Because you remember who you were when she needed you. You remember how you failed to show up. That's what keeps you awake. That's what eats at you. Now let me tell you something. Regret can destroy a man if he lets it. But it can also wake him up. It can turn into motivation. Because once you've sat in the silence and felt that loss, if you're wise, you'll never want to feel it again. You'll start showing up different. You'll start paying attention. You'll learn to cherish, to protect, to communicate. Not because you're afraid of losing someone, but because you've already learned what it feels like when someone who loved you deeply finally gave up. So listen, if you're in that space now, if you're feeling that silence, don't just sit there and hurt. Own your part in it. Grow from it. Let the regret teach you how to love better, how to lead with humility, how to truly value the woman who gave you her time, her energy, her heart. Because nothing wakes up a man faster than the echo of a voice that used to love him and now says nothing at all. You know, a lot of brothers think being a man means you never admit when you're wrong. That showing emotion or vulnerability makes you weak. But let me tell you something that life has taught me. Growth don't come from pride, it comes from accountability. You can't evolve if you keep lying to yourself. You can't become better if you keep blaming everybody else for the parts of the relationship you broke. See, when a woman goes silent, that ain't your moment to get louder or colder. that's your moment to stop and ask yourself, what did I do to bring us here? Because trust me, she didn't go quiet overnight. Silence is the result of too many moments where she felt unheard, unappreciated, or just plain tired. And when she finally stops talking, that's not a mood, that's a message. Now here's the thing most men don't want to face. When she stops, you have to start. Start what? Start looking in the mirror. Start admitting where you failed her. Start owning the times you chose your pride over her peace. That's not weakness, man. That's maturity. That's manhood. A real man doesn't run from responsibility, he runs to it. Because here's what happens. When the silence hits and the room that was once full of love turns cold, you get a choice. You can either stay in denial or you can grow the hell up. You can either blame her for pulling away or you can face the truth that she was trying to hold on while you were pushing her further and further out. You see, silence is a reflection of your behavior. And if you don't like what it's showing you, then it's time to change it. It's not enough to say, I miss her. That don't fix nothing. Missing her doesn't make you worthy of getting her back. What makes you worthy is what you do with that silence. Do you let it harden your heart or do you let it humble your spirit? Because growth is a decision to confront your flaws, a decision to break the cycle, a decision to become the kind of man she needed before she went quiet. A lot of us men grew up without seeing that kind of accountability. We saw men who walked out, who yelled louder, who shut down instead of stepping up. But just because that's what you saw, don't mean that's what you gotta be. At some point, you have to choose to break the pattern. At some point, you have to choose to evolve. Let me tell you something, and hear me when I say this. There's power in saying, I was wrong. There's strength in admitting, I didn't handle you right. When you take responsibility, when you stop making excuses and start making changes, that's when growth really happens. That's when healing can begin for both of you. Because the silence, it ain't there to destroy you, it's there to wake you up. It's there to teach you the value of communication, of presence, of emotional maturity. And if you listen to that silence long enough, you'll realize it was never your job to be perfect. It was your job to be perfect, to be accountable, to be aware. And even if she doesn't come back, even if the silence turns permanent, you still owe it to yourself to grow, to become better for the next time, the next woman, the next chapter. Don't let the silence break you. Let it build you. Let it be the moment that turns regret into responsibility. Because that's where real change begins. At the end of the day, every man has a choice to stay the same and lose everything, or to change and become the kind of man who doesn't need a woman to go silent just to finally start listening.